I want to do a quick, we have the next new moon on Wednesday, on March the 2nd. And as we head towards it, I want to do a quick status check, for lack of a better word, because as there often is, there's a narrative to the way that the planets are interacting with each other and interacting with the eclipses, which I consider the most important transit at any given time. And I want to do both a recap and also just give you kind of a broader, a higher level map as to the direction and how things are unfolding during the months of February, March, and April. And then when we start to look at activity in specific signs, because there's still important activity in the signs of Capricorn and Aquarius, and of course Pisces, where the new moon will occurring, we can narrow that down to greater detail. We can zoom in on those signs. But this is really meant to be sort of one of those compass videos that I do that gives you a sense of where we're at. As I've mentioned numerous times to you, the new set of eclipses in the signs of Taurus and Scorpio started with the eclipse in Taurus on November the 19th of 2021. So as I've mentioned to you before, the time period between September 19th and November 19th may have seen an acceleration or an announcement of a new set of energies that are going to be an area for us and a focus of development for certainly 2022, but also for part of 2023. And depending on where the sign of Taurus sits in your chart, whether it is in what I will call a more yang sector of the chart, a more yang house, or a more outgoing house, or a happier house, or whether it is in a more yin house or a more challenging house, and what that house stands for in your chart, there's still a need to lean into the activities and the skills that are required to master that area, because it is part of your journey, part of your hero's journey, if you want to look at it that way, part of your development. And a lot of the activity that we've seen in the sign of Capricorn, with Venus retrograde from December 19th to the end of January, and Mercury retrograde for part of its period in the sign of Capricorn, and both Venus and Mercury's conjunctions with Pluto have supported this eclipse activity, this new this new area of focus, and in such a way that if things were announced, or if there was activity thematically, or in certain cases even the same incident that showed up between September 19th and November 19th, it could be that between about December 19th and the beginning of February, we entered a sort of a birth canal, and whatever showed up thematically at that time couldn't really manifest or come to fruition. And because there were things that needed to be adjusted and experienced and managed and closed out, and alignment towards this direction needed to be in place before we could really avail of it. And as I've mentioned to you before, from about February the 7th, after I gave Mercury about 2 or 3 days to just start to move forward, and for March, especially with dates such as March the 3rd and March the 6th being important, March the 2nd we have the new moon in Pisces, March the 3rd we have Venus and Mars conjuncting Pluto in Capricorn. So that becomes an important date, which I'll discuss in the next video that I do. But irrespective, as we head into February, March, and April, 3 months of forward movement, with March, which we're heading into, being really a month where, where planets will be moving forward fast, covering new ground, so to speak, and us experiencing forward movement as opposed to stagnation or being in some sort of birth canal or experiencing realignment. It's not so much a anything as much as it is a jumping in and welcoming opportunities and taking advantage of them for a lot of people, irrespective. A lot of things that were promised thematically to be experienced between September and November of 2021 may have either come back or could have come back thematically, or you could feel like you're back on the horse or needing to be on the horse by the time we started to move past February 7th. And the week before the Leo full moon on February the 16th, which is not that long ago, about a week and a half ago, but I would say the week before the Leo full moon may have seen a lot of galloping activity. But as I've mentioned to you in the Leo full moon video, that full moon was square the nodes, which are, of course, the points that are related to the eclipses. And as I mentioned to you, there could have been a series of tests or a test associated with whatever started to move forward between February the 7th and February the 14th. Thematically, that could have been linked to activities between September 19th and November 19th and November 19th eclipse, but there could have felt like a galloping movement, fast moving opportunities coming back around thematically, or actually in certain cases, opportunities that may have appeared between September and November 2021 and then become stagnant and then come back again. Irrespective, there may have been a test around you understanding your strategy and how it is that you're going to be successful and fulfilled in this lifetime. The nodes, I am one of those astrologers that considers the North Node and the nodes to be the most important part of the chart. I am one of those astrologers that considers the eclipses to be the most important transit at any given point in time. So when you have a full moon that squares the nodes, you would have a certain group of people who would, as they headed towards the opportunities presenting themselves between February 7th and February 16th, would have aligned with their strategy and taken advantage of those opportunities, and opportunities may have manifested. And there would be another group of people who may have felt tested and may have felt like they made the wrong decision. It was like, are you going to choose, the universe may have gone, are you going to choose A or B? What goes with your strategy? And you may have felt like, damn it, not again. I was back in my South Node. I was back in the area that I've come into this world strong with a certain mindset, a certain perspective, a certain habitual way of doing things that comes very easily and naturally to me, but I intuitively know that it is not where my growth is and it's not where my strategy is. And of course, we're here to master where the North Node is, the North Node in our natal chart, in our birth chart, at the time of our birth, which sign it was in and which house it was in. Those strategies related to that sign and that house, that's where the conversation is happening with regard to, are you aligned with how it is that, what skills you're meant to acquire and what skills and habitual patterns you're already strong in, but you're meant to release and discard, because the South Node is like an overripe fruit. There's no growth there. And beyond a certain point, you start to develop or get lessons with increasing urgency around learning how to align with what it is that you're here to master and learn. And with the full moon on the 16th, it could very well have felt like there was some sort of test that some of us passed and some of us did not. And there may have been, since that full moon, either a sense of continuing to rush into action. As I've mentioned, the time after the full moon, so I would say February 17th to about the 21st or so, often the 4 or 5 days after full moon are the most productive and the most balanced energetically to get things done, to be productive, to get back on track. For some of us, we may have gotten back on track, and if we did not pass the test, so to speak, we may have had a period of mourning and processing and learning and understanding what that strategy needs to be. It's not all bad news. Part of the reason why I'm doing this compass is I actually have some good news to give you. So just bear with me for a second. And for people who were able to avail of some sort of an opportunity, you may have found that that time period between February the 20th, February the 16th and the 21st may have meant that you needed to dive into something to actually fulfill the promise of whatever opportunity you were able to avail of, because you were able to take advantage of what that Leo full moon on the 16th was bringing you as you headed towards it between the 7th and the 16th. Okay, fascinating, fun. The new moon cycle we're in, the new moon in Aquarius was at the end of January, beginning of February, very end of January, that new moon was conjunct Saturn. So this entire period has, again, this kind of feeling of test and reality check. and sobriety and getting aware of and acting in ways that don't sabotage us and learning lessons that Saturn wants us to learn. The new moon in Aquarius and the full moon in Leo have a heaviness associated with them. And we just have a few more days of that cycle because on March the 2nd we have the new moon in Pisces. So a new lunar cycle will kick off then. But as we head towards it, and as we head towards the 3 or 4 days that are considered the dark of the moon, the days before the new moon, when an energy is going to, it's like the ocean wave is going to pull back from the floor, pull back from the shore, pull back from the floor. And we may, as we head towards March the 2nd, find ourselves increasingly, as we get past even the weekend, as we head into Monday and Tuesday, depressed, needing to rest, needing to release the last 28 days, feeling like not much is happening, things start to flatten out, all that kind of stuff. I think people who've been watching me for a while know how these kind of lunar cycles operate. But then, of course, the March 2nd new moon will happen and the energy will come back in. The wave will start to move towards the shore. So as we head towards this new moon in Pisces, I would ask you to consider everything I've said so far and how it might apply to you. Do you know where the eclipses are occurring, where the sign of Taurus and Scorpio sit in your chart, and what house they occupy and what those houses stand for? You don't have to. It will certainly help a great deal if you do. But if you don't, you can use the dates and just kind of broadly think about what has been gathering momentum. What was the realignment and the birth canal that you were in between the middle of December and the end of January? And more importantly, based on where we're sitting now, what started to increase in momentum and perhaps come back around either thematically or actually between, I would say, maybe February the 7th and February the 16th that you were able to take advantage of, or you may have felt like, didn't pass the test. Damn it. And I think it's worth reflecting on what you think your purpose is and what your alignment with your North Node in your natal chart needs to be in order to avail of the North Node eclipses in the sign of Taurus and where that sits in your chart. Okay, that's how you need to align. You need to align with what lessons the North Node in your natal chart, your birth chart, the sign it's in, the house it's in, what all that stands for. You want those behaviors to be brought into practice when it comes to dealing with the eclipses that are occurring in the sign of Taurus and where that sits in your chart and what that is encouraging you to do. Okay, you act towards those North Node eclipses in Taurus through the lens of your natal North Node, and for people who are not astrology aficionados or you may not know your chart, the question becomes, what do you know intuitively about the strategy where that has a sense of you needing to master something or stay on top of something, but that works for you? And what patterns are there that you feel like you're inherently strong in, but then when you get sucked back into those patterns, results don't manifest. Okay, so with this 16th full moon, there may have been some of us who went back into the South Node, some of us who were able to go into our North Node and actually get the opportunity, and some who were reminded of what their strategy in this lifetime needs to be and what the consequences of not following that strategy could be. Okay. The new moon in Pisces a few days from now is a much more optimistic one insofar as it's conjunct Jupiter and not Saturn. So Jupiter is the lucky planet. Now, I find Jupiter's luck to be somewhat counterintuitive sometimes, where Jupiter is conventionally supposed to promise bounty, and what it actually does is it ends something and gives you that auspicious, lucky break. But the break comes with the ending of something. I find sometimes when Jupiter is going through someone's career house and everyone's telling them that they're going to get millions of dollars or get promoted, I find they get laid off, but that layoff gives them the lucky break to go after what it is that they want. Jupiter, what is good or bad, or what is good luck or bad luck from a cosmic perspective, may not always be in sync with what we perceive of as good luck or bad luck. That said, a new moon conjunct Jupiter is to be favored over our last new moon at the end of January, which was conjunct Saturn, which is much more, are you going to pass the test? Are you not going to pass the test? This is what you need to do to pass. Did you learn your lesson? It's kind of Saturn, strict teacher, strict parent, master what you need to master on this in this time-space reality kind of intensity. In many respects, whatever we've been going through since September to November of last year, we might be given a chance as we head into March, and as we deal with the planets being all planets being forward, none of them being in retrograde. We may be given the chance again. This is what I mean by the good news, to continue to move forward in the direction we need to. March, and then the Virgo full moon on March the 19th, I think, is, instead of the Leo full moon that was squaring the nodes, the Virgo full moon trines Pluto and Capricorn and the North Node. So it's much more supportive. It's not that much of a test. Now, the Virgo full moon is a little bit more complicated insofar as it opposes Neptune, but I'll talk about that later. This is my way of saying the reason why I'm doing this video now, my friends and viewers and loyal subscribers, thank you for subscribing to my erratic posting pattern, is that I want you over the next 4 or 5 days as we head to the Pisces new moon to really take stock of how have the last 3 odd weeks for you been? What patterns have been, what new activities have been gathering momentum since September to November of last year? What has come up for you since February 7th to February the 15th that you were able to take advantage of? So if you were, and you know what your strategy is and you felt like you were in alignment, more of that, please, as you head into March. More of that, please. And if you didn't, then take stock over the next 4 days around what you have learned over the past 3 or 4 weeks. Honestly, what felt good and felt right and felt aligned, and what somewhere internally just felt like, oh crap, I can't believe I had a choice to go this way or this way, and I went this way. And I know I should have gone this way. Because by the time we get to the new moon in Pisces, and then especially the full moon in Virgo, when it comes to the eclipses at least, there's greater harmony. There's a greater possibility of manifestation. So nothing wrong with taking stock of where we're at. Do things continue to be complicated? Yes. And are there parts of the chart where things are not quite so aligned? Yes. The Aquarius part of the chart where Saturn is right now is where a lot of us are experiencing our trouble and our challenges. And again, tests, but more on that in upcoming videos. Right now, I just want to leave you with the timeline that I've left you with this idea of what was gathering momentum September to November last year, what gathered momentum between February 7th and February 15th. Do you feel like you passed the test and something manifest? And between the 17th, 16th, 17th, and the 21st, 22nd, were you actually working on something that came true and came to fruition and felt good? Or do you feel like, damn it, and for those of you who did not quote unquote pass the test, it's much more spiritual and metaphysical than that, because you may feel like you were given the aid or the help or the lesson, and as you were contemplating what you should have done, you may have had serendipitous kind of experiences around a book or whatever it is that's trying to help you get back on track. Don't lose heart. Get back on track. Get back on the horse, but process and learn what Saturn and the Leo full moon have been trying to teach you, and the square to the nodes and the eclipses are trying to teach you. Get back on the horse, align with your strategy, because the March 2nd new moon and the March 18th full moon are going to try and create greater alignment. That March 18th full moon in Virgo is really important because it's 2 months before the Scorpio eclipse, an eclipse of release. So that week or 2 weeks before the March 15th, the week before March 15th and the week after March 15th are going to be important weeks to look for signs and signals with regard to what needs to be released, okay? Months of forward movement are always, everything's uncomfortable for us. We are frustrated with stagnation when planets are retrograde. We are happy and excited, but overwhelmed when things start to move forward. But I think that when planets are moving forward, it's a little bit more interesting and exciting sometimes than when planets are retrograde. So get back on the horse, process what the last 3 odd weeks have been like and everything that I've said, and let's see what the month of March brings, and more videos to follow. I think I'm going to follow this up with a video on the planetary action in Capricorn, then Aquarius, and then we'll get to the new moon in Pisces and talk about what's going on in Pisces by Wednesday. Okay? Thank you. If you liked the video, found it useful, feel free to share it, tell people about my channel, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I do new videos. And feel free, if you feel like sharing something that's relevant to it, feel free to leave a comment or like the video. Likes and comments, I think, give it greater circulation on YouTube from what I understand. All right, I will leave it at that, and I will, until the next video. Thanks.